terrific. I just recorded this one time already, and I guess it didn't stream correctly. So I guess this is try number two. Usually, this is a vlog that I try to do at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Wednesday. But given that it took me about 45 minutes of the first time, not knowing it didn't post, I guess I'm going to start again. So we're going to discuss a few different topics today. We're going to discuss boy, if I can go back to the actual settings, that'd be great, but it's not gonna let me. All right. Anyways, we're gonna discuss employees finally getting some leverage over employers. Synology NAS. Uh, Synology NAS is now there's a risk out there for them. A venture capitalist got their breach taken, and a wide range of cybersecurity attacks is now you can get malware as a service. So I just wanted to bring these things up. I guess we're going to record it again. Let me hop over to there it is, and let's get going. So starting off right off the start, we have this article from securityaffairs.co. As always, I will list the links in the URL at the bottom of the YouTube video. So if you're on a phone, you can get it that way. If you're looking at a computer, you can get it that way. However, if you're on Android TV, because I watch most of my YouTube content on Android TV, you're just going to have to look on your phone. Again, this is a live stream. You can comment. I am looking at comments as they come in here. But regardless, let's just go over it. I am going to try to keep this down on size a little bit. Last week, I think, was an hour and 7 minutes. The week before that was coming up on 55. So I'm trying to find this method. Let me know what you think of these, what you don't think of these, what you like, what you don't like, and maybe what would you prefer I start slicing each one of these articles up and making individual videos out of them, or do you think it's just beneficial to keep it as a 1 hour ish once a week webinar? So I'm with C14G. I own and operate it. We are a cybersecurity solutions provider. So for small and medium business, so that ranges from firewalls, remote work, SNS, SMS, SNMP monitoring, alerting, and a wide range of VPN concentrators, a wide range of cybersecurity solutions to help protect your company from threats on the inside and threats on the outside. Let's go ahead and get started. Stealth Worker botnet targets Synology NAS devices to drop ransomware. The reason I wanted to talk about this is since we're aimed at the small, medium business, aka non-enterprise, a lot of our customers either already own a Synology or they like the features and prices of the Synology, because the nice thing about a Synology is they offer a lot of nice features. You can hook them up to a Google Drive account and back them up automatically. You can hook them to an AWS. You can use Docker from them. There's a lot of features that make a Synology NAS interesting to the smaller non-enterprise level companies. So the enterprise level companies have a tendency to go with the SAN solutions that are a little bit bigger. Dell EMC, their solutions. There's a lot of different storage solutions out there. So, but for the money, Synology is a terrific product. My recommendation, if you're in the market to buy Synology, is you go for the Western Digital black drives if possible, if it's rotational. I don't trust Seagate. I've been doing this a long time. Seagate drives, they have more failure rates than Western Digital by far. So that being said, you should be using a redundant array of disks, RAID, and you should be backing them up offsite, which Synology offers to replicate/clone automatically. So if you have a Synology unit on your premises, you can put one at a backup location or a disaster recovery site, and as long as you have the bandwidth, it will replicate all the changes automatically without you having to worry about it. And you can do reporting and SNMP monitoring. Well, not monitoring, but you can report to an SNMP monitor to send traps or whatever the case may be. So once compromised, once compromised, I think I meant to say on the device, threat actors employed it in a botnet used in attacks and aimed at Linux systems, including Synology NAS. Yes. So a lot of these devices that there's an OS on almost every device inside your network, whether it's a SAN or a NAS or even a firewall. Those all have OSs, right? So Linux is the main, it's their only OS for Synology. It is a flavor specific to them, so you might not be able to run, say, a Red Hat command or a Debian command like apt-get or whatever the case may be. But it's still a very powerful tool. It's a great product. But anyways, I wanted to point that out. So what do I recommend if you do have a Synology? I recommend one, most of the time they're not Active Directory integrated for usernames and password authentication. If possible, set it up with Radius. It should be connecting to something with Radius. You might want to limit SSH access to only one or two people, period, at most, and only from the inside of the network from specific machines. You don't want to allow it from any machine that's connected to the VPN. While that is better than just any machine on the internet, try to lock it down as most as possible, because a Synology NAS has so much. Your company has a tendency to rely so much on shared storage or network attached storage was what NAS stands for. Network attached storage. So, for instance, if your main share of the company is on your Synology NAS, if you lose that for 3 weeks, what's that going to do for your business, right? So, and then this is just their official release. The Product Security Incident Reporting Response Team has recently seen and received reports on an increase in brute force attacks against Synology devices. Synology security researchers believe that the botnet is primarily driven by a malware family called Stealthworker. At present, Synology Product Security Incident Response Team has seen no indication of the malware exploiting any software vulnerabilities. Well, then how are they getting in? We don't really know. These attack leverages. Let's try that again. These attacks leverage a number of already infected devices to try and guess common administrative credentials, right? And if successful, will access the system to install its malicious payload, which may include the ransomware. Again, if you aren't using Radius, or if your Radius credentials are so easy, change it. They should be randomized per device. You should be using a password manager, so nobody can say, well, it's not convenient. I can't remember a randomized hash password. That's the point of passwords. That's why we have password managers. So all those devices that, if you're not using Radius at least, have a randomly very difficult 15-character long password to prevent brute forcing and guessing the password altogether. The vendor reports its findings with the relevant certs, with relevant certs, and is working with them to dismantle the command and control infrastructure behind the malware. Synology is also notifying affected customers. The Taiwanese company urges its customers to enable multi-factor authentication where available, enable auto block, which means if an account is tried to be logged into too many times, the account gets blocked for X amount of minutes, and account protections, right? And to use, they meant strong administrative, to use strong administrative credentials, right? Don't use string. I don't know what string are. System administrators that have system administrators that have been notified suspicious activity have noticed suspicious activity on their devices should report it to the Synology technical support. That brings up a good point. How are you monitoring to see abnormal behavior in your environment? Not just on Synology, but your environment in general, right? So if you're doing reporting, if you're using PRTG, SolarWinds, we're in the process of making our own SNMP monitoring tool, but that's a couple of years down the road. What are you doing to realize if something changes? For instance, if you have a group of servers or one server that always transfers in a week 50 megabytes or 50 gigabytes, and all of a sudden in a week it goes to 100 gigabytes. I did it twice. How do you know, right? Is that generating an alert? Are you sending reports? Do these reports get looked at thoroughly, or are they just something to put in the bin in case you need it should you have an incident? That being said, that can be done not just for gigabytes. That can be done for CPU usage. That can be done for memory access. That can be done for disk I/O. You want to use the averages of your company, and when things spike outside that average, report or alert accordingly. And if they're false negatives or false positives, I should say, sorry, after that, adjust the alerting so it's more accurate to a situation like this. If you're using a brute force attack, you're going to see, if they're using a brute force attack, you're going to see CPU usage higher than normal. You're going to see bandwidth usage higher than normal on a Synology device. So put the right tools in place so you can know what you're doing. That being said, you can't ask an Active Directory guy or a Windows Server administrator, I should say, to understand what's going on with the Synology NAS. You should have a Linux operator or a storage administrator take a look at that device for you, not somebody that's working on Windows servers, because Windows servers, people have a tendency to just be in that realm. Storage operators have a tendency to just be in that realm, and network security people have a tendency to be in that realm. It is going to take probably, if you have the staff, it's going to take some cross department communication to figure out what you can do to see. Would you know right now if somebody was inside your device? If not, we can reach, and you want to be able to get to that point, you can find us on c14g.com. We would love to get you there. We'd love to try to get it so that everything is proactive for you instead of reactive. Ultimately, we don't want you to be down. We don't want you to be in a scenario where you have to worry about losing payroll or not being able to pay payroll because you ran into an incident that could have been prevented, right? So moving on to the next article, and again, these are listed on the YouTube video at the bottom of the description.